We all die. I'm not being facetious right now. I've never been more afraid of the imminent nuclear war than I am right now. We have pushed Russia into a corner. Russia has responded using a weapon of unprecedented strength. This variant of the Rubyaj RS-26 missile that was used, again, as a missile. Putin's speech, I would ask people to listen to it, even if you don't read Russian or understand Russian. Look in his eyes. Watch him as he speaks. And understand he has made a decision that if the West wants a nuclear war, the West has a nuclear war. He doesn't want it, but he's made the decision. He has said, all decisions have been made, all orders have been issued, there will be no more discussion. We automatically mirror what you do. So when you attack us with storm shadows and attackums, there's no debate. We don't ask ourselves, we will hit you. If you escalate and bring in a threat from Poland, we will take out the target automatically. There's no debate. And if you want a nuclear war, we will launch everything and kill you all. That's the decision that's been made. That's where we're at right now. All decisions have been made. All orders have been given. There's nothing to talk about except the West needs to stop doing what it's doing. It's very dangerous. He chided the Americans. He said, the weapon we used to be banned under the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty. There was this is the treaty, just I think you know my background. I was a weapons inspector for the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty. In fact, I have the honor of being the first weapons inspector on the ground in the Soviet Union to implement that treaty. This was the treaty that got rid of the most dangerous weapons in the world at that time. The Pershing II, the ground-launched cruise missile, the Soviet SS-20, their SS-4s, SS-5s. We got rid of them. These were the weapons that were going to bring us to war. And in 2019, Donald Trump withdrew from that treaty. Said, no, we're done. Accused the Russians of cheating, but when the Russians went, we're not cheating, you show us the proof. Wouldn't show them the proof. He just said, no, we're withdrawing. And then immediately tests an intermediate nuclear range missile, which means that we've been planning on withdrawing for a long time because you don't immediately test. There's about a year's worth of preparation going on there. But the Russians said, okay, we're not going to develop intermediate range missiles unless the United States deploys missiles to Europe. Well, last spring we had an exercise in Denmark and we deployed intermediate range missiles to Europe. And Putin went, I warned you. I mean, this is about Putin. I don't know why people think he bluffs. He doesn't bluff. He's very upfront about what he's going to do. He said, I'm not going to build these missiles unless you deploy missiles there. Then we deployed them, and he said, I warned you. And we went, no, but it was just an exercise. He went, no, you brought them to Europe. So he began building missiles. In 1983, the Soviets, because we were deploying the Pershing II missile to Germany. The Pershing II at that time, if you fired it 7 minutes later, it would hit Moscow. The Russians were scared to death of this thing. They're like, oh my God, it's there. So to respond to that, they built a new missile called the Skorost, the Speed. And basically it was just a modification of existing missiles. They took the first two stages of it, put a different warhead on top of it, a conventional warhead, by the way, and they were going to flood Germany and Czechoslovakia with these weapons. And the moment they detected the Pershing II doing anything, bam, hit it right there, right on the spot. Boom, 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 instantaneous. The speed, the Skorost. But then the INF Treaty came in, people like me, and that was the end of that weapon because it was of the wrong range and it got destroyed and never got deployed in full strength. The Soviet rocket forces, the guys I've been talking to, Savvy, I just want to tell you, it really helps to talk to people. You learn a lot when you do. And the fact that the United States government doesn't want me talking to Russians tells you how important it is to talk to Russians. And I've talked to the Russian guys who are in the rocket force, and they're bitter about the INF Treaty and all that because they view that as Gorbachev giving away their military capabilities. Boris Yeltsin made them weak, and Putin's been gradually strengthened. But even Putin, they were frustrated with because he always played by the rules. Putin's like a fair guy. Well, Putin finally said, "All right, you're going to do that. We're going to rebuild." The missile that the Russians used against Dnipro, the modification of the RS-26, is the new Skorost. America hasn't woken up to the fact yet that Russia, because we're threatening to deploy a missile called Dark Eagle, which is like a really modern hypersonic Pershing II. We're deploying it to Germany. And so the Russian military went, "Hey, baby, let's go back to the old playbook." And they've built a missile that now will be deployed, flood the zone, conventional warheads. And the moment we do anything, bam, it hits. You saw it. 6 independently targeted warheads. Each warhead had 6 large submunitions. It's saturated there. Remember, its job is to destroy an American mobile launcher. So when we bring the launcher out, here comes this thing in with its cluster warheads, wham, down on the field, everything dies.
All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kwadash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule great millstone while and shalom. To the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, may you endure unto the end. Shalom wa abba. It says in Isaiah 13, which is biblical prophecy, verse 17, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." The Medes in that land today, which were originally Japheth, are now today the Edomite Russian. All right? And they're going to be stirred up, okay, which you can see they're being stirred up against them. Against who? The whore and the beast. The whore is America, the beast is the European Union, which you have the NATO countries. And it says, they shall not delight in it, which they have gold and silver, so they don't need America's gold and silver. All right, they have tons of it. What they want to see is these nuclear missiles work and destroy America. It says in Isaiah 13 and 18, their bows, which are those weapons that they've developed, it says, also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. So those nuclear missiles, when they come, as Scott Ritter said, everybody dies, okay? But the hopeful elect is going to be gathered and delivered, all right? It says in verse 19, and Babylon, which is America, the glory of kingdoms, which this is where everybody wanted to come, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency, which it was created with witchcraft, shall be as when Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So how did Sodom and Gomorrah, how was it destroyed? It was by pretty much the same thing as a nuclear destruction. But today they got missiles. It says in Jude, which Jude is only one chapter, but it tells you, right here, verse 7, even as Sodom and Gomorrah, so America is even to Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh. So they're idol worshippers. They commit abominations. It says, are set for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. So America is going to suffer the judgment as Sodom and Gomorrah, which is fire raining from heaven. Today it's nuclear missile. All right, and it's going to be shot from Russia and the allies of America, the European Union, all right, which they have NATO. They're going to hate the whore America and shoot missiles upon her. All right. It says are set forth for an example. So Sodom and Gomorrah was an example of what would happen to America in these last days. Suffering the vengeance of eternal fire, which is that nuclear destruction, which it tells you in Revelation 18, right? It says, verse 17, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? See, because America is going to be completely destroyed. It says, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Allah's, Allah's, that great city, wherein we are made rich, all that had ships in the sea, by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. And if you want to see that in an example, they have it in a documentary on Netflix called Buying Now. It says in verse 20, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh shall send his son, and hath avenged you on her. Which Yahweh Shai is going to deliver us, okay? And he's going to punish the wicked and them 2/3 that do wickedly. It says in Matthew 24, verse 31, it says, it's red letters, so it's Yahweh Shai prophesying of when he comes back. And he, which he's speaking of himself, shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. It says, now learn a parable. So a parable is 2 stories side by side of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, he putteth forth leaves, and putteth forth leaves. Ye know that summer is nigh, which there's coming a day that's going to burn as an oven, which is that nuclear destruction of America, all right? Which we're in that season, all right? We see the signs just like you see, as it says, the leaves come forth from a tree after the branch gets tender, meaning that the summer is nigh, right? When winter comes, and fall, the leaves fall off, so the life of the tree disappears and then reappears in the springtime, right? And it's pretty much full bloom by summertime. And then it's another cycle. Fall comes, the leaves fall off, and then winter, right, which the tree is pretty much sleeping. And then after that, it's rejuvenated at spring. With spring rain, spring sun, you see? And then eventually the summer. All right? So just like that, we're in that time where we can see the signs of the seasons. And we are in a season of war. And right now you're hearing a lot of lies of peace and safety under Donald Trump's next presidency. But the scriptures prophesy when you hear peace and safety, then sudden destruction, all right? Because they're not realizing that we're really close to the end, and them making these moves, like making that implantable microchip mandatory, is just going to shorten the days for the elect's sake, all right? Because the Lord's going to deliver his elect from the judgment of the wicked and them that do wickedly, which is nuclear destruction. That's their future. But the future of the elect is salvation and dwelling with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai in peace forever. Shalom to the elect, Wa Abba Babal.